Tonight, folks, again, Marie Newman with Marie Newman Studio, and we're on Substack Live tonight. Tonight, my guest, and I'll introduce him in just a little bit, is Nico Agosta. He just recently started a new organization called the Political Integrity Project, and it's a PAC that's not a PAC. So I'll let him explain that. It'll be very fun. So stay on for that. But the reason I wanted to do this tonight, I thought it was very fitting, is that we're just starting our primary season, right? Texas had their primary yesterday, and we'll talk about that a bit. But the reason that the primaries are so germane to what sometimes we call legalized bribery in Congress is that candidates have to raise a lot of money, and they have to keep raising a lot of money. And there's reasons why corruption is a natural part of that process. And we'll define corruption so nobody gets in trouble in a minute. But welcome, everybody. For those of you that are just coming on, it's Marie Newman. I am on with my studio live cast with Nico Agosta from the Political Integrity Project. What we're going to talk about tonight is what I broadly call political campaign corruption. But what it really is that our campaign finance laws allow a lot of shenanigans. And it's pretty scary. And we've had some scary things happen because of commitments we've done during the campaign season, whether you're an elected or a candidate. And we're seeing this play out in a war halfway around the world. And it's not our war, but we were told to get into the war. Much because someone made some commitments during a campaign. So that's why this is so germane tonight, to talk about accountability around political campaign finance. So that's what we're going to do tonight, folks. And it might get a little spicy. Warning. So I'm going to start with a bunch of disclaimers. So when we say political campaign corruption, what we mean is that finances are something that we should always be watching because finances dictate behavior in campaign donations. So I'll give you a couple of examples, is that you could say, and many do call it, legalized bribery, our campaign donation system. Super PACs, independent expenditures, major donors, corporate PACs, APAC affiliates, and foreign lobbies give money to a candidate or to a politician, and then they're asked to do things for that. And while right now that actually is legal, so nobody's doing anything illegal that we are aware of, it is ethically questionable. And that's the big deal. And so when I introduce Nico in a hot minute, he has a reason for starting this nonprofit. It's actually not even a business. It's a nonprofit startup that is going to shed a light on everybody's finances. What I like about this model, and it's different than everything else, is it takes the net worth of all of our politicians that are in this model, the stock trading ability and their activity in the stock market, the campaign donations they get from corporate PACs, from small donations, large donations, and from APAC and other foreign lobbies. And it puts it all in one place. So I'm going to let him tell you about it. But I'm so excited tonight to have Nico Agosta. He is the co-founder and CEO of Political Integrity Project. He also has co-founded another startup not too long ago, several years ago, called Almost Tuesday Media. He has a background in political science and data. Welcome, Nico.
Thank you so much for having me on.
So glad to have you here. And so I'm going to dig right in because everybody's excited to learn about this stuff. So first of all, the website is integrityindex.us, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, good. Tell us what the Political Integrity Project is, why you decided to develop this. And I always say entrepreneurs always start with anger. So I'm guessing you were cranky about something. So have at it, Nico. Tell us why you got this all together.
Yeah, you nailed it. So it started with the social media channel, which I go by Stalking the Capitol. And this all started because I was angry. I was on social media and I was seeing misinformation about a politician's campaign finances. And it was very evident there was a lot of anger that people wanted to direct at this problem of corruption. But I was disappointed in that it wasn't being directed to the right place. Yep. So I dug into the numbers, and what I found was it was a bit difficult to dig into the numbers. I love open secrets. I love the FEC website. but I understand that they're not always really consumer facing. That's not their purpose. So I started a social media channel where I started grading members of Congress. It gained a lot of traction. I think I was right in that there is a real hunger for this. People want to use this information when they go to the ballot box. And then I started working with my co-founder, Daniel, and we launched the Political Integrity Project, a PAC, which we thought was very
It's not a
ironic.
pack.
It's not really a PAC, but it's the way that we fund it, right? And our first product is the Integrity Index, which you can find at integrityindex.us. And the idea was to have a place, a centralized location where you could find all of the personal and campaign finances of every member of Congress. And we're happy to announce that as of this month, you can now find the personal and campaign finances of every candidate that's running for office, for Congress, that has raised over $25,000. Um, and we also want to synthesize this information because campaign finance is very confusing. And it's very easy to mislead people with partial facts. So we want to be as transparent as possible and get the information out there so that people can use this information when they go to the ballot box.
It's amazing, right? And let me just tell you guys, I've actually sat down with reporters for hours to teach them how to use the FEC in a usable, actionable way, and then use open secrets. And then another piece that I often use would be unusual whales. That tells us what members
Hmm.
of Congress are trading stocks. So I would teach them how to use that and to look at their and then obviously calculate their net worth. Now, Nico and Daniel had put together one-stop shopping that is a button, guys. So all that stuff that would literally take probably 3 days to put together, Nico and Daniel had put together pressing one button. So you go onto their site, you dump in your member of Congress or a candidate for Congress, and you learn right away how much corporate money they take, how much special interest money, lobby money, small donations, large donations, what their net worth is, if they're trading stocks, if they're complying with the stock debt. So let's do one more disclaimer while we're talking. So
Mm.
when we say corrupt, we mean it feels unethical to most people that are object to money in politics. So again, I'll qualify it with that. There you can trade stocks as a member of Congress, right? But you have to disclose it immediately in a financial disclosure form. Many of them do not, and let's be clear about that. The other thing that is troubling, and this is at the essence of it, and we'll talk about this for a hot minute in a second about a couple of cases, is what happens is that magically they will be on a committee. Let's say that they're on energy and commerce, or they're on finance, or they're on something that is germane to their trading activity, and then magically, right before a big event happens in the world, like a war with Iran, they buy some stock. And then right after the event happens, they make a lot of money. So let's just call out two because we're naming names tonight. So two Republicans, one is Gil Cisneros in the House, Mark Wayne Mullen. That guy you probably see a lot. He is quite a character. In the Senate, both picked up shares of RTX Corporation while serving on the House and Senate Armed Services Committee. So that the Armed Services Committee is germane over our entire military system and services system. So right after we had our military action in Iran, that stock that they had bought the week before went up and hit an all-time high. So do you see my trouble? All of our trouble? Coincidence? Maybe, but I don't think so. I'll give you one more, and then Nico's actually going to talk about a famous case, which is funny to me. So Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democratic Congresswoman on appropriations. Remember, folks, appropriations is the committee where we decide as members of Congress what goes where in the budget and how much is allocated and who gets those allocations. So Debbie decided that she would buy a penny stock. And to make it easy for those that don't understand the stock market, penny stock is literally they are cents on the dollar to purchase and can blossom later. Well, interestingly, in Debbie's case, this is very exciting for Debbie, is that she decided to buy a penny stock called ICAR. or I-Corps holdings right before the CHIPS Act went through. And lo and behold, the CHIPS Act was very greatly benefited I-Corps holdings, and she made millions of dollars. So interestingly, the Political Integrity Project, which is integrityindex.us, would have
Mhm.
been a good place to find out that information and ask her about that, right? Or ask Gil and the other members of Congress. So let's see. One of the exciting ones I want to talk to is Nancy Pelosi, right? She came in
Sure.
with a
Yeah.
couple million. And where is
Yeah.
she at now?
Now she's at it. So all of these financial disclosures are done in ranges, right? So you're always only going to have an estimate, and some of them are wide ranges. So stocks are worth between $1,000 and $15,000, or
Mhm.
$15,000 and $50,000. But our most recent estimates is that her and her spouse hold over $200 million in individual stocks. So that's a large increase. I mean, she has been in office for almost 30 years, but that's some really great return, $2 million to $200 million.
So I'll let everybody do the math. So as a member of Congress for the last 10 years, you can make $170,000 a year.
Mhm.
So come on, somebody was doing a lot of really good trading.
And and
So,
and they'll say that it was their spouse, right? And that's why when we talk about congressional stock trading bans, we're
mhm,
always talking about including the spouse and dependent children,
right.
because the household inevitably there's going to be information that's being shared with the immediate family. So for me, that excuse, which many members of Congress will use, that it's not me, it's my spouse, it just doesn't really hold up.
And I'm sure it's true in some cases, let's be honest, because humans are humans. But sometimes you do it accidentally, right? Like you could be just talking shop and something falls out. So that's our problem, folks, is that this isn't all that people are maniacal in Congress. It's that they work a lot of hours and boo-boos happen, right? So let's not let those boo-boos happen. And let's put the stock ban together. So that the stock ban is a bill that is out there right now. It's the leads are Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, and a few others. It says that members of Congress, their spouses, and actually their staff cannot trade stocks, right? The reason that makes sense is that they all see that information. So it has about 140 people signing on, mostly Democrats, but some Republicans. This bothers as well, so they're signed on. So you have to ask yourself, if your member of Congress isn't signing on to that, what are they afraid of? So ask your Congresspeople. So and by the way, I think that this is true on your site, is that you identify who's signed on who hasn't, haven't you? When you're
We
doing your
have
grading,
We have, although this has been a real problem actually in the last week, is there's many congressional stock trading bills. Some are better than others. Some are
right?
much better than others.
Right.
So we were tracking a piece of bipartisan legislation that we thought, and we were talking with folks at the Hill, had the
Mhm,
best chance of becoming law.
mhm.
Unfortunately, in the last month, there has been a lot of partisan influence from party leadership, both on the Republican and Democratic side, which has
Yep.
really changed the landscape when it comes to congressional stock trading bills. So we're kind of in a turnover period where we understand that we're going to have to update that portion of the website because
Yeah.
unfortunately that bill just doesn't look viable anymore.
Yep. The problem is with the new bill, it's highly diluted. You probably know this, Nico, is
Oh
that
yeah.
this
Oh
new
yeah.
bill that was put out that Democratic leadership and Republican leadership were pressured to do, but they pressured the lawmakers to dilute it down. So this new one is, well, on Tuesdays you can trade this stock, and that they have all these carve outs that, okay, if you're on this committee, you're okay, but if you're on this committee, you can only do it on Tuesdays, right? Like it's
Yep.
a ridiculously diluted bill. So, not so happy about that, but we'll see
Oh,
how
and
this goes.
we will not give anyone credit for being pro congressional stock trade ban if they sign on to that bill.
Right,
We take the opposite stance. It's a Republican led bill at this point. Right now,
right.
there are the only Democrats on the bill, I believe, is Ed Case. Um, I believe Ed Case and one other member of Congress. It's not coming to mind right now. But we've been very clear that whoever, and if that bill goes to the floor, anyone who votes in favor of that bill will actually be taking a stance against a congressional stock trading ban, as it is so watered down that it is misleading to people.
Well, interesting. And I'm going to turn our attention, Nico, to the race last night. We had a very interesting turnout, right? So we had two actually very amazing candidates, two great Democrats, Jasmine Crockett, who is a member of Congress, and James Tallarico, who is in the state legislature in Texas, both running in the Senate Democratic primary, and James Tallarico won. And Nico and I were just talking before we went on the air and said, I do think that one of the reasons is that Jasmine took a lot of corporate money. She sure did. And she took APAC money and a lot of it, right? And James kind of clean as a whistle. Now, that doesn't make the fact that Jasmine has done great work on judiciary and she's a brilliant legislator and all the things. But we do have to stop somewhere. I liken it this way, folks. Think of corporate PAC money and foreign lobby money like APAC money, like heroin. You can't stop until you stop. You just have to stop taking it, and we have to stop giving it. So
Mhm.
that's the thing. So let's talk about that a little bit. So what was your perception of last night? Tell me a little bit
Mhm.
your thoughts, Nico, about Tallarico versus Clark.
Yeah, well, I do just want to clarify something, which is that when we talk about APAC money, there's direct contributions directly from APAC, which Jasmine Crockett did not receive. Oftentimes, people use APAC as shorthand for what Open Secrets calls the Israel lobby.
Yeah.
And so they'll be tracking bundlers, folks that are high dollar donors to APAC that might give directly to a campaign. Jasmine Crockett did receive some of that money. But I just would like to clarify that you won't be able to go on the FEC website and see a receipt where APAC has given directly to her campaign, or even that anyone has earmarked money through APAC to her campaign. And I think that is an important distinction,
Yeah.
because campaigns are not going to be usually sending money back from individual donors. So if an
Right.
individual donor that's a high dollar donor to APAC gives $1,000 to her campaign, her finance director isn't going to be able to flag that and send it back, even if it was her stance that she was anti-APAC money. So
Right.
I will give her some grace there. However, when it comes to the corporate PAC money, this was a big differentiator between Crockett and Tallarico. Jasmine Crockett has raised over $300,000 of corporate PAC money since the 2024 cycle, and she transferred over $4 million from her House committee to her Senate committee. So it's the same money that's all getting mixed together with all those corporate funds in there. So James Tallarico was really able to differentiate himself in this way. He raised over $20 million without taking any corporate PAC money. And we're going to really have to wait to see where the dust settles and all the splits and whatnot. But what it looks like right now is that a lot of independents and folks who usually don't vote in Democratic primaries showed up and they voted for James Tallarico. And
Yeah.
that's consistent with what I've seen in the reception to the Integrity Index and in my own social media, which is that some folks who have been kind of turned off by politics recently, that see everything as corrupt, that don't see a reason to go to the polls, this message about being anti-corruption, about being anti-big money, it really resonates with them. And it's a way to really reach these people. Again, we're not going to know exactly who voted for James Tallarico until the dust settles,
Yeah.
but it looks like that was the case. And this is a lesson for other people coming up that are running, that leaning into this message, a lot of folks view it as a sacrifice because you're not taking the corporate PAC money, or you can't take your stocks with you into office. But it can be kind of a superpower. It's not as much of an electoral liability as it can be a real boon.
Yeah. I I think it is powerful. In fact, I'm supporting and donating my time to 8 congressional races right now across the nation, 4 here. And I have to tell you that they're all not taking corporate PAC money. They're not taking APAC. So as a reminder, guys, we use APAC like Kleenex for tissues, right? So APAC has 17 shell packs and affiliated packs they run money through. So even PACs that sound Jim Dandy, like Electing Chicago Women or
Hmm.
314 Science, is an APAC driven PAC, right? So you never know who is giving what. It is very hard to tell on the FEC which is which. You can do a deep dive and you can cross reference it just to get into the nitty and gritty. There's an organization called Dawn that has a list of every single APAC member. And you couldn't cross-reference that against FEC data if you want to get to the nitty and the gritty. But there are about 100 donors that just give all the time because they're incredibly wealthy. So I can pick them out. If I just see a spreadsheet, I can pick them out. But Very few can. So know that you do have to stay principled. If your principle is that you want both Israel and Palestine to be free and sovereign states and be safe and secure, think twice about supporting an APAC candidate, because they will not be able to think that way. They're just going to be betrothed to Israel, and that's not fair. So that's an example. Corporate PAC, same deal. There are climate hawks right now in our U.S. Congress that take hundreds of thousands of dollars from Exxon and Chevron and the like, and all big oil. So just know that, and there's a reason. And let me just get my speech out, because my subscribers have heard this more than once, is that there's a reason we don't have Medicare for all, because big healthcare and big pharmaceutical comes in and tells our members of Congress what to do, and so that we can't ever have transformative legislation. Baby steps don't work anymore. There's a reason we don't have climate change legislation, is because of big oil gives millions and millions and tens of millions of dollars to Congress. So those are just examples. This is why this accountability report that Nico has devised is just really amazing and important work. So we're indebted to him. So I asked Nico to do a quick little exercise before he came on today. And I want to find out who the Fs are, because his team goes in there and gives them an F. And can you tell them a little bit about your grading criteria, and then just roll right into who got Fs and Ds?
Sure. So our formula, we tried to use as many variables that we could that would be consistent for every member of Congress. So it takes the amount of corporate PAC money they get, really the amount of PAC money they get from every sector, and they're all weighted differently, as well as the individual donations that they receive. We split those small and large. A formula update is coming out that's going to actually split it into 5 different categories.
Yeah.
But we take those individual donations, we take those PAC donations, and then we also take their personal finance side. So we take the amount of stocks that they own and how frequently they trade. We actually don't right now use the net worth in the formula.
Okay.
Because theoretically, someone could come into office that's wealthy and they, won't indulge in some of these unethical practices.
Sure.
But we're able to use these variables. We produced a formula, and I've been grading these members of Congress on social media, which is where you hear the most raw feedback you can. And we've gotten some pretty positive feedback that, that seems like a C plus, that seems like a D minus. And I'll tell you, if I were to read out all the Fs, unfortunately, for the American people,
just give
it would take all night.
Give us a
I'll
little
give you the
taste
bottom
test.
10. And I'll tell you why they're in the bottom 10. So
Okay.
you have, let me go 10 to 1, build some suspense. So number 10, we have Ashley Hinson. She's a Republican from Iowa. For her, it's a lot of corporate PAC money, over $400,000 of corporate PAC money. She also holds $3 million of individual stocks. Frank Pallone from New Jersey, another member of Congress that gets a lot of corporate PAC money. He's out of New Jersey. David Joyce, Republican from Ohio. He gets now we're into the 20s, so he gets a 27 out of 100, a very low F.
Yeah.
And Scott Peters from California, Democrat. Buddy Carter from Georgia. Buddy Carter, I believe, yes, he holds $3 million of individual stocks as well.
Yeah.
Tom Cole from Oklahoma, Republican, 23 out of 100. That's 5th on the list. 4th on the list, Josh Gottheimer. Josh Gottheimer is a Democrat from New Jersey who holds
Wait 1 second, Nico. I just
Mhm.
want to add one piece of color commentary that's important. So Josh Gottheimer and Jared Moskowitz are the 2 Democrats who voted to continue to let Trump have war power in Iran. Everybody else voted against him having war power in Iran. Those 2 decided that they would break from the rest of the Democratic body. So just as an added.
Yeah, and just to show people how bad it gets, if you remember, number 10 on the list was $400,000 of corporate PAC money, $3 million in stocks. Once we get up to Josh Gottheimer into the top 5 there, he's almost $1 million of corporate PAC money and $20 million of individual stocks. It gets pretty bad. And so the top 3, Kevin Hearn, Oklahoma, very frequent stock trader. Very often, it seems to be taking advantage of privileged information. Of course, we can't confirm that.
Right.
Number 2 is Catherine Clark from Massachusetts. And this is one of those things where when you get into leadership, the reason you got into leadership might have been because you were such a great fundraiser, which often means taking a lot of corporate PAC money. And once you're in leadership, the corporate PACs are going to give. So she has received just last cycle almost $1.2 million of corporate PAC money. And she also inherited $2.3 million of stock, which she has not divested. And then number one on our list with a 13 out of 100 is French Hill from Arkansas. Frequent stock trader, tons of corporate PAC money. Only 46% of the funds that he's received have come from individuals. And most of those funds from individuals are large individual donations. Half of his money comes from PACs, and almost $1 million of that is from corporate PACs as well. And he also has $14 million of individual stocks. That's the bottom 10. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah. And so let's just think about that, folks, is that if you are busy trading stock, and whether you are subconsciously taking the information in that you are on whatever committee, let's say you're on financial services and you have U.S. bank stock, you're going to make some decisions, right? You're not even going to know that you're making that decision. So let's just eliminate that problem and have the stock ban, right? And then with the corporate PACs, let me just give you a quick exercise. What happens is that when you're a candidate for Congress, I got calls from a million corporate PACs, and they said, "Hey, we just want to give you some grounding and some briefing." It's a little bit like, say, here's a little bit of cocaine just for you. So you sit down and then they start to tell you, like, we'd love to endorse you and give you XYZ. The top donation over a cycle is 10K. But then they have all these other super PACs that feed into into your campaign as well. So over time, you can take literally in one cycle, and as you just heard, some take millions in a cycle. Many take hundreds of thousands. Most of them take hundreds of thousands. And then just to be clear, 89% of Congress takes corporate PAC money. 89%. 87% takes APAC related money. So whether it is APAC or when it's 17 shell PACs, it takes that money. So there's reasons why we have ongoing conflict in the Middle East. There are reasons why we don't have universal health care for all. There's reasons why we don't have climate change legislation. So we've heard a little bit about that today, and we've named some names, although we could name a lot more, right? Let's talk about leadership for a hot second.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pick on my own party. So Hakeem Jeffries is very beholden to APAC, right? He has taken literally each cycle to put into the majority PAC and his leadership PACs millions and tens of millions of dollars from foreign lobby and corporate PACs. And so how can you be an objective leader, potentially Speaker of the House, right now the minority leader? How can you be objective when you're taking millions of dollars from a source? You can't. It's impossible. So that's all I will say is that, most people are having a problem. Let's talk about voters for a hot second. Interestingly, I'm seeing in a couple of these Ipsos polls that it is now up to 80% of America finds it very troubling that members of Congress take corporate PAC or foreign lobby money. They find it very troubling. It used to be just 10 years ago, just so you know, like in 2016, when Trump was elected, only 20% of voters that voted regularly cared at all.
Wow.
So that is a huge, and so everybody's turning on to this. So I encourage you to go on integrityindex.us and get their whole picture with just one press of the button. It's amazing, right? It's a great voter research tool. So before you leave us, Nico, tell us what new things are coming, what features and bells and whistles are coming.
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's been really great chatting with you. So for the Integrity Index, the major thing that's coming out soon that we're really excited to announce is a large formula update. The more variables we can get into the formula, the more reflective it's going to be of their financial integrity. And this update is going to give a new upgraded grade for every member of Congress. But what we're really excited to announce is now we're going to have enough data on these candidates to give every candidate a grade. It's going to be a long process. It might take us a little while, but we're hoping to have that out, at least some of those grades out within the next few weeks. And something that's coming out hopefully before the end of 2026. We don't want this to just be about federal elections, since we know that so much happens locally. We're going to be expanding this. It's probably going to come out state by state as we work getting data from those different state systems, which is its own unique challenge for every different state. But those are the two big updates that are coming out soon. And one other thing I do want to mention is we are very active when it comes to promoting our political integrity pledge. So this is a pledge that candidates for Congress can take, and there's 4 pledges they're taking. One is that they will not hold or trade any individual stocks while in office, and will advocate for a congressional stock trading ban. And we have specific language that ban has to include spouses and dependent children. Yep. 2 is that they will advocate for a lobbying ban for former members of Congress. 3 is that they will advocate to overturn Citizens United. And 4 is that they will not take any corporate PAC money. We've had some candidates already take this pledge. James Tallarico took this pledge. And what we're offering is we're saying, hey, if you do these things which the people want, as you said, these are incredibly popular proposals. If you do these things that the people want, we will use our social media channel that has almost 700, I believe almost 800,000 followers across platforms to give you 10 seconds to get your message out. James Tallarico took that pledge and gave us a video. We have some candidates in Illinois that took the pledge. So we're really excited that that's always going to be coming soon, all the way through the midterms, that we're going to have more candidates that take this pledge. And then it's on us to hold them accountable.
Right. And that's my last question for you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it's not. I have one more after that.
Okay.
So how will you keep them accountable?
We have a lot of really fun ideas. We don't want to tip anyone off to what it's going to be. I think it is obvious that we are going to use that network of 800,000 followers. Shame is a really great tool, but we don't want to tip our hand at exactly what we're going to do. But I will say, just a warning, that the first person who breaks the pledge, we're going to have to make an example of. And I'm almost excited for it. We have so many great ideas.
It is. You don't like anyone to feel humiliated or bad, but it is back to the heroin analogy. We've got to stop this. We've got to get money out of politics, and it has to start with that first person. And unfortunately, there has to be a first person, right? So,
yeah.
I'm with you on that. It does have to happen, sadly. So my last question is one that I ask all my guests. What do you think we are ignoring at our own risk in the area of campaign finance? What is something that's kind of underneath, that's embering a little bit, that we're not paying attention to, that you're really concerned about? Is there something that you've found in your work, Nico?
I would say it's this, which is it's really exciting when a politician comes onto the scene, whether it's that they are actually a rising star or you just weren't familiar with them. It can be really exciting. And what we've learned from following the money is that there will often be a politician that you want to have a parasocial relationship with, or you want to be rooting for every step of the way. And the money just doesn't add up, whether it's on the super PAC side or whether it's on the side, the connected side. And I think it's very important that we are in troubling times, and that it can be very easy to try to latch on to a savior. But I would suggest to always keep that distance and treat politicians like politicians. Get excited with the things that they do, not the things that they say, and always follow the money.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, it was great talking to you, and we're really excited. Folks, please visit integrityindex.us and just play around with it a little. It's super easy to use, and it really gives you an enormous amount of information, and you don't have to go to 17 sites anymore. So I'm excited that when I do research now, I don't have to go to 17 sites and paw through FEC data. So visit the site, play around a little bit, and as always, if anybody has questions, hit me up on Substack or come listen to me on Sunday mornings at 9:15, WCPT Chicago, or go to my website. So have a great evening. Nico, thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Be well.
All right. Take care.